Orfali DeRobertis with Berkshire, Hathaway, HomeServices, EWM Realty, and the Monica Betancourt Group. And I'm here today with Shari Pardue. Shari is with the Prosperity Home Mortgage, and we'll be talking everything that we need to know about mortgages and the lending market. So how are you today, Shari?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thanks for being with us.
Sure.
So very quickly, for how long have you been in the lending market?
Well, my lending career started in 2001. I started with Bank of America. Started at the very beginning levels of mortgages and worked my way up in multiple positions with several major banks. And then right before the housing crisis, I had moved over to the subprime lending world. And we know how that all ended. And with Prosperity Home Mortgage specifically since 2017 as a mortgage lender or mortgage consultant.
That's a lot of time with Prosperity Home Mortgages and in the lending market as a whole. But tell me a little bit about Prosperity Home Mortgage. What's the volume of mortgages that you deal with in an annual basis?
Well, we have been growing significantly over the years. We started in 2007, basically just on the East Coast. In 2019, we branched out across the nation, so now we're in 49 states. So our volume has been picking up every year, year over year. We have about 500 mortgage consultants like myself across the country. And in 2021, we got up to $15 billion in volume, and I think that was like 27,000 units, greater than 27,000 units closed. 2022, as we know, as mortgage rates started climbing a little bit, the volume for mortgages actually went down. So we did about $9 billion in 2022, with a little bit less than 27,000 units closed. So we are growing every year, year over year, except for last year with the mortgage interest rate.
That's very impressive. Now tell me one thing. Do you guys work on the residential side only, or you also do commercial?
We're residential only.
Okay, so super focused, laser focused on the needs of home buyers. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Shari, it can get very confusing when we try to understand the mortgage world because there's a lot of different types out there. Can you talk a little bit about the different types, differences, and also a little bit of like tips and insights for first-time home buyers?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Specifically about first-time home buyers, I talk to lots of customers and I get usually the same question. First, I want to identify what a first-time home buyer is. If you've owned a home in the past, you can actually be considered a first-time home buyer again. So basically, it just means if you have not owned a home or had your name on the deed to a property in the past 3 years, you're considered a first-time home buyer again. So that makes it nice for those of us who are really trying to put a minimal amount of money down. So the benefit of being a first-time home buyer is that you can put a very little amount of money down, as little as 3%. I get a lot of calls that people say, oh, I want to go FHA. And I'll ask, why do you want to go FHA? Just curious. And they're saying, because I want to put 3.5% down. So the really great news I love to share is that, did you know with conventional lending, which conventional lending is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, you'll hear these terms thrown around a lot, and some people are a little confused on what the definitions are, but you'll hear with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, you can actually put 3% down if you're a first-time home buyer. There are a lot of other programs out, usually in the community, even the state of Florida. They have something called Hometown Heroes, and it's made for first-time home buyers. And these programs are out there, usually provided by the counties in every state, and they allow monies to help people, first-time home buyers, with their down payments.
Still talking a little bit about getting a mortgage and going through the process of buying. There's also a lot of terms that are out there. When you want to put a stronger offer, you want to show that you are actually qualified to do so. And we always hear pre-certification, pre-approval, pre-qualified. What are the differences? Is there something stronger or better than the other? So can you tell us?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, there are There are lots of different approval methods, and I love to kind of delve into this because you'll hear the terminology, and I get a lot of agents that actually use the word pre-qual. I don't like that word because a pre-qual really means nothing. Many times it's just a verbal conversation like you and I are having now, and it could be that the mortgage lender is just asking questions and not really verifying anything. They many times don't even pull your credit when it's a pre-qualification. Agents know that pre-qualifications really are useless. So I try to steer clear of those at all costs. Only in very rare circumstances will I give a pre-qual. So pre-qual is just basically verbal. Then there's pre-approval, which pre-approval in my world means I'm going to pull your credit report. We get a tri-merged credit report pull from all 3 of the credit bureaus. Lenders use that middle credit score, so we don't average the scores. You have 3 different credit scores from each credit bureau, and we use that middle credit score. So we do a pre-approval, which is checking the credit. Many times I'm going to also confirm their income because since I am your in-house lender, I want to make sure that I'm giving a very strong approval. Even though it's just a pre-approval, I still like to vet people out, make sure their income is exactly what they put on their application. And then I also want to check other things that are more important, like do they have enough cash to close? Then Prosperity offers something even above both of those, which is what we call our buyer advantage. And that just means that we've got that customer completely 100% credit approved. We've pulled their credit, we have pay stubs, we have tax returns, we have whatever is needed, but we get them in front of an underwriter. And an underwriter actually looks at all of their documents just like when they're in a contract. So I'm so excited to talk about Buyer Advantage because number one, it's completely complimentary to your clients. There's no cost involved at all. Because we're an in-house lender to a real estate company office, we're going to make sure that we completely vet them out. So when we have them Buyer Advantage approved, your customers can actually compete with those cash offers out there. The only difference between our Buyer Advantage and a cash offer is that we do have to get an appraisal, and that's really it. So the Buyer Advantage is like 100% guarantee. We just have to make sure that the property is going to be sufficient. We also have one other type of pre-approval where we can actually give a commitment letter within 2 hours of your customer applying with me. It's super impressive. So it's like an instant approval. We literally give a loan commitment, a loan approval letter to the customer within 2 hours of them applying with me for the first time.
So I think in summary, do your homework. One, make sure that before you go out there and you start shopping for homes, you understand what's your buying power. And obviously before you bid in the home you like, you want to make sure that you are fully qualified so you are much more competitive in your offer.
It's critical to get pre-approved before you start shopping. Even if you think that you qualify just based on what you know about your own income level and your own debt, it's really so important to let a lender confirm how much you can actually be approved for, because there's a lot more that goes into it than what meets the eye.
So Shari, you just talked about how important it is for somebody that is going to go out there and shop for homes to do their homework first. So as they're planning their buying process, how long does it take for our mortgage process from beginning to end to be ready?
Well, if you're trying to get pre-approved before shopping, it's really never too early to start. If we pull your credit, it's good for 4 months. Some other lenders, if they pull your credit, it's going to be good for 3 months. So get the process started as early as possible before you start shopping for a home. But then once you're actually in a contract and find a home, usually people find something within 30 days. You find a property. Some people it takes several months. But that one credit report, it should be good for the full shopping process. But once you've actually gotten into a contract, Prosperity can very comfortably close within 30 days. Sometimes we can even close in 2 weeks. So it depends on that Buyer Advantage approval we talked about earlier. The other benefit to having that approval is we can fast track the closing. We can actually close in 2 weeks. I have even closed loans within 7 days before. So we can close as fast as you need. That's the good thing about Prosperity Home Mortgage, is that we are very nimble and we can move much faster.
Some folks get a little bit concerned around the rate they find a good rate, but they're not ready to put an offer. So how can they lock in the good rate that they found and continue through the buying process?
So most lenders do not allow locking a loan in or locking an application in when there's no property. So you do have to have a contract in 98% of the lending that goes on in the country. You do have to have a contract to lock in that interest rate. But again, with Prosperity Home Mortgage, because we're the in-house lender here, we do offer the buyer advantage approval, and with that approval, we can go ahead and lock in an interest rate for the customer while they're shopping for a home. In a rising rate environment like we've been experiencing since last year, it's great to know that we can lock the buyer in. We can lock them in for 90 days up to 180 days while they're shopping for a home.
So that's great news. As Shari said, we are going through a lot of uncertainty with the rates and the direction that Fed is going in order to control our economy. So I think this is a great service offered by Prosperity, and you can take advantage of that. Now, Shari, for those that are interested in learning more about lending and are interested in getting to know products that are available to them, how they can get in touch with you.
Well, I would love to answer any questions, help anyone. I'm happy to be a resource. I am best contacted with my cell number, which is 305-922-4358. I'm Shari, S-H-A-R-I, Pardue, P-A-R-D-U-E, and you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty much throughout social media, but on LinkedIn, in Instagram, you can find us at PHM Lending Ladies, and we'd love to put all these articles out there every month, just helpful little home buying tips, terminologies, all these terms that we're throwing out that you may be confused with, but we put all that out on my PHM Lending Ladies on Instagram. So I would love to talk with any of you that have any questions.
And make sure that you look into the captions. All of the information that Shari just mentioned is available for you to get in touch with her. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel.